Hey everyone, this is Akistra TV coming to you with our first ever Pokemon Sword and Shield battle video. In this video, the focus is going to be around our chunky baby, Greedent. I thought it would be really fun to revolve a team around keeping Greedent alive and healthy and also giving it the chance to abuse weakness policy by giving its teammates the berries that it will be using to heal with. Now for those of you who don't know, Greedent's ability is Cheek Pouch, which gives Greedent back more HP when it consumes a berry. So if you have it gain health from a berry, say a citrus berry or a figgy berry, then it will gain even more health afterwards. This is my Greedent Chungus. I'm running a pretty standard set on her to maximize her damage output by having her have Body Slam, Swords Dance, Earthquake, and Gyro Ball. This also gives it the ability to use Max Quake and Max Steel Spike, raising my team's defenses. Also on the team supporting her, we have Purple Kong the Oranguru, RuneScape the Runerigus, Sweet Stuff the Alchemy, Fallacy the Clefairy, and Osborne the Grimmsnarl. Now the Grimmsnarl I'm using actually doesn't have a standard set, but instead I'm using a set very similar to the one that I saw Weedle Twin Needle using.
Notice me, Senpai! Notice me!
Where I substituted Sucker Punch for Spirit Break because I didn't want to be sweating over whether or not my opponent will actually be trying to hit me. So I figured that Spirit Break would just be better to use. For me, anyway. I have a pretty standard set for what I'm going to be using on my Clefairy. It's very much just the Tomp 8 Clefairy with Protect, Ally Switch, the Win button, Helping Hand, and Encore. Sweet Stuff is actually a G-Max Mon because I wanted to make sure that I had some sort of a special attacker in case the opposing team was physically bulky, but it still got Decorate, so it's useful in that regard. Purple Kong is one of our Trick Room setups, which I also gave Ally Switch because that's totally not a broken button. Instruct and Brick Break. Now the reason I gave it Brick Break instead of a Psychic type move or some other type of coverage move is because I wanted to guarantee I could get off the weakness policy on Chungus. It also has Symbiosis for when the weakness policy goes off to pass over the Citrus Berry. Now I think in this video I wasn't actually successful in making that happen, but that's because I guess it was too easy to see through. Lastly, we have RuneScape, which is our other Trick Room setter / weakness policy activator with Body Press and Ally Switch. Wow! And a Figgy Berry. Now I gave it the Figgy Berry because its nature and Chungus's nature, they both can use Figgy Berry, so it wouldn't be the end of the world if it procced on RuneScape instead of Chungus. Now with that all settled, let's get into some battles. Gotten into a battle against someone. I wasn't able to pronounce their name, but that's okay. I check their team and I see that they have a Bisharp. Now all I could think is, that's gonna want to set up, so it's probably going out first. And then I was like, oh, that's 3 Watermons. So I decided to start with RuneScape so he could take the heat from them and Chungus could set up. Never mind, I think I can pronounce this. It's just Splat.
Ooh, shiny.
So the battle starts up and he sends out Bisharp and Golisopod, which I wasn't totally expecting. I kind of thought maybe Clefable would come out to support the Bisharp, but instead it was Golisopod. So I'm like, that's cool, he's probably going to want to do First Impression and hit Chungus so it does some decent damage, and the Bisharp will set up Swords. So I went for my basic plan to set up Trick Room and Swords Dance of my own. The turn ended up playing exactly as I anticipated, so I was like, heck yes, this is a fantastic start.
Yeah!
So now after this, I decided to go heavy in and pop off with the super balanced Dynamax mechanic. Start boosting up my defenses and try and one-shot the Bisharp because I really am not interested in him going off on me. I do End up double checking to make sure that RuneScape was in fact slower than Chungus, so I can body it and get off the weakness policy goodness. I didn't particularly want to hit it after, because that could have been, you know, bad if I didn't end up one-shotting the Bisharp.
Yahoo!
Aw, yeah, that's sweet, sweet weakness policy goodness.
Yeah!
The Max Quake just absolutely obliterates Bisharp after Swords Dance and a weakness policy boost because Chunky Baby is immensely powerful. It is so underrated.
Mamma mia!
I guess my opponent has clearly realized that Chungus is the focus as he went for an Aqua Jet to try and damage Chungus, which I don't understand why he thought that would work, seeing his first impression did less than half. It's twice as strong of an attack, but anyways, digressing. Turn went off without a hitch and the special defense boost went up and Bisharp bit the dust. My opponent then sends out Primarina, and at this point I'm like, damn, 3 shinies? You really do be flexing on me though. So at this point, I'm thinking their last Pokemon might be G-Max Gengar, so I kind of want to make sure my Spadef is up there. And I decide to go for another Max Quake, this time smacking into Primarina. At the same time, having RuneScape trick the Figgy Berry over to Chungus to get that sweet, sweet healing. My opponent then decides to go for the Dynamax. I'm sitting here like, oh snap, D-Max Primarina. But then, to my surprise, it was actually his Golisopod, Bottom Feed, that he D-Maxed. So I'm like, well, hey, and at least I don't have to worry about Gigantamax Gengar, so that's nice. Chungus gets the Figgy Berry, then proceeds to one-shot the Primarina, and takes the following Max Knuckle to the face like a champ. Now, I didn't actually expect the Golisopod to have Max Knuckles, so that would make sense as to why they went for that. I'd probably feel pretty threatened at this point, too. I mean, Chungy is just like, whew! Figgy Berry pops off, and the Cheek Pouch goes off after it, so it's almost like Chungus didn't even take any damage this turn. The opponent's last Mon turns out to be Clefable, so I decide to go for the one-shot with the Max Steel Spike. It'll help boost my defenses while fighting out the Golisopod, as long as I'm waiting out for Bottom Feed's D-Max to just peter out. So then I'm like, alright, I'm gonna hit that Bamboozle button so RuneScape can absorb a Max Knuckle for Chungus, thinking my opponent probably just wants to at least try and wipe out Chungus before he goes down. Max Steel Spike connects and wipes out Q-Charm.
Nice.
Get them sweet, sweet defense boosts.
Got bamboozled. You got bamboozled.
Now from here, I'm just kind of like, well, I mean, what do I do? Like, I don't know what item he has. I don't think that it's choice banded, but I didn't feel like tricking it, so I was just decided to start smacking him around a bit. Body Slam actually did a fair amount more than I thought it was going to against all of that HP. But I guess that's what happens when you got a +4 on your Chungus. I think he anticipated me ally switching again because that was the first time that he actually hit RuneScape, but I guess we'll never know. For the last turn, I decided to switch out RuneScape for Fallacy so that when Chungus lands the Body Slam, it is a safe 4-0 win.
Peachy. Woo!
Body Slam connects and secures victory for us. So that was a solid example of how the weakness policy works. This next battle is going to be how good Chungus is, even if the weakness policy gets taken away from him. This contender's name is Jack. At first glance, I see his team and I'm like, Dracovish,
Why me?
I don't want to verse a tryhard. But what would be the point of this video without a little struggle, right? So I grabbed Chungus, but I couldn't decide who else I wanted to grab because, man, just seeing a Dracovish really threw me off hardcore. I ended up grabbing Chungus, Purple Kong, Fallacy, and Osborne. When I first saw his trainer card, I didn't realize that his character was running off in the distance, and I was like, man, how did he get a ball guy outfit? I want that. First turn, he sends out his Grimmsnarl and his Raichu. So I'm thinking to myself, okay, this is probably dual screens, taunt, and Spirit Break. He's probably going to try and taunt Purple Kong, and Raichu is going to fake out Chungus. So I just went for my standard turn because, I mean, like, I could be wrong. I didn't want to try and outplay myself by trying too hard to outplay him. So I was in fact wrong, and it was Grimmsnarl that did the fake out, and it faked out Purple Kong. And Raichu going for that thief, I really did not expect at all. And I got really disappointed. I was like, well, how am I going to showcase a weakness policy Greedent without weakness policy? And then Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared started ringing through my head like...
Because you're not thinking creatively.
So what was my creative idea? Obviously, beat them down with only a +2, Chungus. What else? Now, they've seen the weakness policy, they saw the swords dance, and so I can only assume my opponent knows that Chungus is going to be my sweeper. So I decide to go for the super balanced Dynamax mechanic, and then start plowing through their team since both of these guys are relatively weak defensively, so they should each go down in one hit, even with only +2 attack.
Yahoo!
And go for the ally switch for good measure since Symbiosis won't be giving Chungus any healing potential since weakness policy wasn't consumed, it was stolen. And I'd rather lose Purple Kong than Chungus. Sorry, buds. Encore gets locked. Encore locks. Words are hard. Encore locks Purple Kong into ally switch, but that's okay. Max Steel Spike takes out Grimmsnarl, no problems, and sets up my defenses for the Dracovish, which I'm assuming is coming out last. The opponent sends out his Aegislash, and I'm like, okay, so Dracovish must be last. Now, with Purple Kong being locked into ally switch, I'm thinking to myself, well, I would anticipate that I would switch out. So instead, I decided to just go for another ally switch, because, you know, it's the win button anyways, right? I was expecting the Dracovish to come in last and be the Dynamax user, but then he Dynamaxed the Aegislash, and I'm like, alright, okay, sure. So it's a good thing that I decided to target the Raichu with Max Quake instead, because trying to pop that air balloon with the Max Steel Spike would have been a massive waste, seeing as it wasn't going to kill it. Chungus tanks a Thunderbolt from Raichu like a champ, and the ally switch bamboozles him into max knuckling Purple Kong.
Got bamboozled.
Yum, 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 yum. Delicioso!
Citrus Berry pops off and the Max Quake just completely obliterates the Raichu. I'm glad that the Citrus Berry actually got to be used still, though. His last mon ended up being the Cinderace, and I'm just sitting here like, sweet RNGesus, this is 2 battles in a row I was scared of a threat they decided to not bring in, but it's fine, you know, less for me to worry about in the endgame, I guess. The obvious play here was for me to not waste my last max attack popping the air balloon, so I decided to try and knock out the Cinderace, hoping it didn't have a Focus Sash or something, because I'm pretty sure it's got access to high jump kick. I don't know for sure though. But that could have been really brutal to get hit by something like that. So now I'm thinking, haha, you expect me to stay in again and just pop off another ally switch? Guess again, fool! I switched into Fallacy figuring she could take a pretty good hit, and it took that Max Knuckle like a champ! The Pyro Ball laid into Chungus pretty hard, but that's alright because the Max Quake wipes out the Cinderace, leaving only the Aegislash left.
Wow, 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 wow!
Not that the Spadef boost is like particularly useful when the last thing's an Aegislash.
Mamma mia!
But at this point I don't know if it's a special user or if it's a physical user. Either is viable. So now I decide to pop the air balloon with Gyro Ball and go for another OP win button to mess up where my opponent hits. Honestly, at this point it kind of feels like the video is more about how I'm showcasing how busted Ally Switch is. But it is still showing that Greedent's pretty good, I think.
Let's go. Let's go.
The Aegislash ends up going for the Max Phantasm, which I wasn't expecting. I was expecting the Max Knuckle again. But it ends up doing nothing anyways, because it ends up hitting Chungus due to me pressing the win button, which was a nice little turn of events. Now that the D-Max is run out, so what does any Aegislash player that's pushed into a corner do? Hits that King Shield. So I ended up misplaying this turn a little bit because I anticipated the King Shield, but I forgot it's not like Protect, and I could have gone for the Encore this turn and just auto-won it right there. Instead, I go for a pointless ally switch to burn the turn and a Swords Dance on Chungus.
Let's go.
Now the next turn, Aegislash ends up outspeeding my Clefairy, which is trying to go for the Encore, and it uses Sacred Sword and just completely obliterates Chungus. I kind of wish that I thought about the King Shield into the Encore beforehand, but it's okay. Nobody's perfect, right? At least now Aegislash is locked into Sacred Sword, so that's not too bad. I send out Osborne because it's the only attacker that I actually still have that can do any damage to the Aegislash. So for this last turn, I decided to go for a Helping Hand, Choice Band, and Spirit Break, which promptly puts the Aegislash in the dirt, securing the victory. Honestly, I'm extremely thankful for that, though, because like there's nothing else I could have done to try and take out the Aegislash except for just kind of Encore stalling it until it gets to a point where all it's trying to spam is King Shield, and then it runs out of King Shield and struggles itself into non-existence, which would have been very anticlimactic. This didn't really showcase the weakness policy, but Chungus still did most of the work, so I'll take it as a solid win. Now, the last bout in the video doesn't really showcase the beauty of my Chungus, but it does induce a quick forfeit, and I thought it was really funny, so I thought y'all would want to see it too. So this last opponent is a name that I actually can't pronounce. Got it right this time. Because I can't read it. But that's okay. Their team comes up, and I'm just like, Gyarados and Lucario Whimsicott beat up Justified duo. Man, this is gonna be awful. I didn't really want to throw Chungus in right away because I didn't want a +4 Max Knuckle to the face, because I sincerely doubt she would have survived that. So I opt out of that, and instead I go for RuneScape and Osborne as my starting duo. I'm hoping I can get away with an ally switch to avoid the Max Knuckle and then priority power swap the +4 away. But then I get surprised when they instead send out Whimsicott and Swoobat, so I'm just thinking, alright, Whimsicott to keep me down and his Swoobat safe so it can set up. Well, let's just trick my choice band over to the Whimsicott and take what I assume to be leftovers. I also didn't really expect him to Dynamax the Swoobat. That was pretty cool, especially with the shiny. That looks mint. And only then did I get surprised again when I received a choice scarf. And so now I'm really confused. I'm just kind of like, what is this guy's plan here? I must be missing something. The opponent then proceeds to go for max airstream on RuneScape, hella boosting its speed since it's got the simple ability. So it's getting double the amount of stats for things. And then Whimsicott proceeds to go for Fling and activates his Swoobat's weakness policy. And I'm like, oh, that's what that plan is. That's super cool. And I like that. And I understand why the choice scarf now. But now I'm getting a little scared. I'm like, so the Swoobat is +4 attack, +4 special attack, and +2 speed. Well, at least I picked a good starting lineup then. I'm just glad that the Fling didn't go off first because, man, that would have been brutal. Trick Room goes off and I'm like, alright, I have the advantage. I wanted to trick the Figgy Berry to Osborne, but I couldn't remember if it was okay for his nature, so I instead hit the win button and ally switch my team and power swap to take all of Swoobat's damage buffs. RuneScape ends up tanking the Moonblast like a champ, and Osborne champs the max airstream. And now I'm like, ho 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 ho, I feel the power. I have such a great setup. Now I can switch into Chungus, power trip her with all the stat boosts, and completely wipe their team out. I feel the power. I feel the hype, and I'm just like, ooh. This is going to be great. Chungus is going to do such a great job destroying them. I guess he only had one strat. And he had no backups. But that's okay. And then my opponent just forfeited. I thought that was really funny. I don't know. So that's the video. If you guys have any requests for any other teams you want to see in action, please leave a comment below and I can try and give them a whirl. If you enjoyed what you saw, make sure to hit that like button and be sure to subscribe to my page for more fun content like this. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.